to. The parallelogram should only have 5 check marks in here. And I like to use these mnemonically to help me remember what should be in each column. Rectangle has 7. I'm actually going to break that down a little bit further. So you'll see what I'm going to talk about. Rhombus will have 8 and square will have 10. So the 5 that apply to parallelogram are that the opposite sides are congruent. That's definitely for sure. It's a parallelogram because the opposite sides are parallel. That's pretty straightforward. It also means that the opposite angles are congruent to each other. The diagonals are bisecting each other. We're up to 4. And then the one everybody forgets is that the consecutive angles are supplementary. There's the 5 things that you need to know for parallelogram. Now, since everything else is a parallelogram already, all these other shapes over here are already parallelograms, is that as soon as you get the parallelogram rules, you get a rule in every single one of these other ones. So filling this chart out actually really falls down into, can you get these 5 because you get a whole bunch because these other shapes are already parallelograms. Now, what happens in rectangle is, yeah, you got the 5, but you have 2 extra ones that you need to come up with for a total of 7. The 2 things that happen extra in rectangle is that it gets 4 right angles. That makes sense. We've been drawing rectangles our whole lives. And it also turns out that the actual diagonals are congruent to each other. All right, so there's the extra 2 to make the 7 for that one. In rhombus, on the other hand, you get the 5 from the parallelogram, but you get 3 extra ones for that. And those 3 that we just discussed were that the sides are all congruent, the diagonals are perpendicular, and the diagonals bisect the corners. Those are the 8 that apply to rhombus. Now, the funny thing is that if you had an X in parallelogram, you got to put it in square. But a rectangle and a rhombus are also a square, so if you put an X in either one of those 2 columns, it applies to square too. So like this rhombus one, it applies to square. This rectangle one, it applies to square. This rectangle one, that's a square deal. That's a square deal, and that's a square deal. Look at that. It's all 10 of the actual properties. Okay, so if you can help you remember that it's 5 for parallelogram, 7, 8, and 10 for rectangle, rhombus, and square, it helps you identify how to fill out this chart. Do you think it could possibly be a quiz someday? Uh-huh, it's gonna be. You better know how to fill this out. It's on the test, and it's a quiz. I will talk to you guys later. See ya.